what has been happening in the last 7 days as far as the car industry is concerned. This is your show. If you're somebody passionate about all things to do with motoring industry, you want to understand how we can help you make traveling and getting around less burdensome, wouldn't you say? So latest tech, your new future vehicles, all that is right here. And of course, joining us in studio is our favorite automated engineer, is also the Spinners SG Lads, good morning and welcome.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and I'm looking forward to us going to watch Burning Spear together on Saturday.
We can go.
In the physical sense, in terms of the looks, because you're all bald heads. But we are going.
You don't have to be dressed to be Rasta.
Oh, it's in the heart. You're dready in the heart. And it's good enough. It's really good enough. And of course, Taf was away at the mining indaba in Bulawayo.
Yes.
Mining intra, it's called.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't for you, but I found out many things about them, and I promise you next year it'll be a different story.
Shine bright like a diamond. Anyway, good to see you. Tafanzo comes from Zimoko, and he's also an avid car enthusiast as well, and he joins us every single Thursday. Right, without wasting much time, a lot has been happening in the car industry in the last 7 days. I'm going to start with a story that's made me particularly keen, so I'm going to be selfish and start with this particular one. A new car has landed in South Africa.
Yes.
Not only has it landed, firstly, let's talk about how the Chinese market names its cars. Omoda. Let's talk about Omoda landing in South Africa. It is the new C5, is it, that's landed?
That's correct. So Omoda is another Chinese brand that's made its way to South Africa. It's been a flurry of Chinese brands going to South Africa of late. I think it is now one of literally several. And I say several because the number is about 7, if not more new Chinese brands have now invaded South Africa, and by virtue Southern Africa as well. So Omoda is one of the newer ones, which have, well, actually, let me take it back. It's actually not that new in the South African shores. This has been one that's actually launched about, I would say, a touch over a year ago in South Africa, with the C5 now being the newest version of that vehicle. This is an SUV which is styled very nicely. I think it competes very well against any contemporary modern design from any manufacturer in the world. Like we talked about a few weeks ago, the Chinese are now the lead exporters of vehicles in the world, and they've got many brands behind us. This particular model, the C5, and the brand that carries it, is an homage to what the Chinese are doing, where their technical know-how has gone in terms of making cars, the quality. I think Chinese cars have always suffered one thing of old, the way they look. This is now taking that away. This is a car I can see myself in. I think most people would appreciate to see the vehicle.
Yeah.
They can also appreciate the vehicle and maybe even entertain the idea of Chinese cars, which we cannot run away from in the Southern African car market.
So we're hearing in Cape Town, Omoda C9 actually is what's landing, which is the flagship of the Omoda model families. And we're also hearing, funny enough, when you look at it, it reminds me a lot of the Cherry.
Yes.
And it seems as if they're cousins. What's the story there?
Yes, so I mean, let's talk about the entire car market in the world. You find that a European car is actually is owned by the Indians. A German car is owned by the Chinese, brands that is. And this is exactly it. So in China, there is a lot of sharing. I'll use this example. If you go to Japan, we've got Toyota, we've got Nissan, we've got Mitsubishi, and we've got Isuzu. At some point, the engineers all start doing a rotation and working amongst all these companies. Someone will have a branch off and have an agreement with someone, and they open up an offshoot brand, which is like a distant cousin, Hyundai Kia relationship kind of vibe, if you want to call it that. And this is what's happening in the car industry in China. There is a lot of playing together, offshoot brands. The Chinese market specifically targets different segments because the Chinese market itself is very broad. So they have little offshoot brands of the same car company that cater for a different market. And yeah, like you said, Cherry is more or less the higher end version of what this version or what this brand is.
Right. And
we'll probably have a few twerks here and there to accommodate for price difference or maybe feature difference.
Right. So we're hearing they also have a Jaiku, an iCar. a Jetour, that sounds French,
Yeah.
a Kerry, and like seed, all these under cherry. Is that correct?
Not so much under cherry. I think under cherry will be your Omoda. Jayco, I think, is as well. It's a shooter brand. So maybe those two are probably close related. The bikes, the JAC, GWM, these are all now separate companies, which will have all offshoots, I mean. And then we've got your commercial vehicles, if you want to get into that. We have your DFSK. Strange names that Chinese use, but we can't go away from the fact that their products are good. So these are offshoots. Some are together, but some are away. So Jayco, Omoda, Cherry, there is some relationship, but other car brands from China, there might be some separation, but maybe some parts sharing or knowledge sharing in terms of manufacturing.
Okay, got you. And so, for, you did say Chinese right now is churning out the most cars in the world right now. They're the biggest car manufacturer. That means sooner or later, we as a country are also going to start to see more Chinese brands on our roads. But now, Haval has already done a fair bit. GWM also, which you as a local have, is also infiltrating our roads. And Cherry also, we've seen that slowly picking up.
Exactly.
What makes Omoda, for example, the car to pick? Why would I choose this particular brand? What are they, putting out there as what's setting them apart?
I think with them, it all comes down the side of features and style. It's really out there, really modern, really cutting edge. They're focusing mainly on your SUVs. They want to go to a certain market or a certain targeted market in your middle income, where features and styling are very important. If you look at the spec list for these vehicles, and I encourage anyone to go and have a look about and talk and see these vehicles we talk about on the show, just to get an appreciation for them online. You find that these cars are very rich, the finishings are different, it exudes some kind of luxury finish. So that's the appeal, really. Why buy a certain brand of toothpaste over another? Toothpaste is toothpaste, right? A car is a car, right? Sometimes. But that's it. The thing that makes it different, what makes you like something, is what makes somebody else maybe not like it or find it less appealing. So vehicles have different segments, and this car in itself is trying to aim for the guys who are looking for something a bit more adventurous and something more modern, futuristic looking, with features in mind, and it touches on a somewhat higher level than what's on offer, maybe at that price.
0719104. We were talking this morning about Chinese car brands taking the world by storm, and we are hearing the new Omoda C9 has landed officially in South Africa. And we're wondering what would make you buy a Chinese brand for your car? What would make it more attractive? Most people are probably driving Japanese on our roads and German, but the Chinese are the future. What would make you settle for a Chinese brand? 0719104. Lance, looking into the technology of these cars, I get what Type is saying. When you look at the Moda, it definitely does have like a futuristic feel about it. That grille or that front, that thing that they're trying to do, I see them, right? And it does look good. In terms of technology, I know initially, and I'll say this because it's also on record, when Haval first came up, their technology wasn't that great. It was popular in China, but I think sometimes the uptake was slower because the finish wasn't great. It was plasticky and what. But now they have upped their game, right? In terms of technology, when we're looking at, say, the Omoda, for example, for you lads, what makes that car, for you as a mechanic, the guy who's under the hood, actually love or recommend a car like this?
So, unlike the Japanese back in the day, remember Japanese cars used to be like the weak cars. Our parents are used to the German cars and the British cars, right? So imagine in the 70s, 60s, late 60s, early 70s, Japanese cars had the same, what can I put it? Same classification as what we're doing to the Chinese cars now. But now China has got one advantage that it has: technology, and where we are right now. Remember, most automotive technology has been invented already. Like, let's just talk about seat belts, talk about the steel that you use on the cars, everything. So all this technology is now freeway.
Right.
It's available on the internet. Like what Type was saying, engineers are, moving. Now imagine you're trying to be the top engineer in Porsche, but you're never going to get that position. What are you going to do? Simple. You just go to China, sell a bit of technology, and that's what China is doing. China is flaunting money right now. They have the money, they have the financial capability. And I can vouch for, I got certain tools that I bought from China. Dara, we used to just buy tools like from certain brands and stuff, right? But I'm actually surprised that the Chinese brands that we're actually having now are actually taking us, to the next stage, So let's just give these Chinese people, a benefit of the doubt. Let's give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Yeah.
So as far as technology is concerned and styling, it doesn't look Chinese.
Yeah,
That's
got
the
you.
honest truth.
Got you.
Yeah.
So we've just focused in this particular one on the C9, but Cherry is also breaking the scene. Bike is also doing the most, particularly in South Africa, including GWM. Talk to us about these emerging brands, the trend that the Chinese are setting, and it seems like it's mainly South Africa. Kenya, Nigeria, how are they feeling, do you think, about the Chinese brand?
Yeah, I think the South African market and why the Chinese are targeting South Africa at the moment is because in terms of Africa, I think I can think of the three biggest car market countries in Africa. South Africa is right there, Egypt, and Nigeria. Kenya and so forth, I think it's all middle tier, maybe not as big as you would think it should be. Big, nonetheless, but not as big as the South African markets. So where do you put your money first? Where the money is. So South Africa is a very big car market, and it has some very, 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 very varying needs.
Yeah.
The Chinese rather at the moment are pushing value in their vehicles, and they're pushing it very, very heavily. And I think that's what's attracted most South Africans to adopt these vehicles. And in some way, I think the Chinese are very clever. They see what the earlier brands that have penetrated the market have done, and they're trying to ride on their success. If you look at it now, I think GWM and Cherry have done very well in South Africa. These are the breakaway brands in terms of Chinese brands in South Africa. Some Chinese manufacturers have seen that. And their products, like it or not, are fairly similar, but in most cases push better value in terms of cost.
Yeah.
So this is why I think there's such a big flood of these vehicles coming in. The adoption, because at a government level, at a regulations level, they meet the standard. At a consumer level, they provide value. Why pay more for something?
I find it curious, though, that the Chinese market or Chinese brands are seeing South Africa, for example, more penetrable. But last time we were talking about how VW is closing plant in South Africa. Isn't that quite an interesting contrast?
It is. Maybe we just safely say South Africans are tired of seeing the same mark. I've got so many colleagues and friends who are in South Africa, South Africans in particular. They admire how Zimbabwe's got variety of cars. Because like Toyota's got how many like models already on the road. And in South Africa, if you stand by the corner, if you're not going to see a Golf, you're going to see a certain BMW model. You're going to see a certain maybe Toyota Avanza model, not the variety that the rest of the African countries have. Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique and stuff, because of the policies that we have. So now, South Africa, in a way, right now, the market is ready for newer and different things. Because if you notice, if you've got the money, like here in Zimbabwe, there's a variety of cars that you can buy. You can buy an AMG, you can buy a BMW, you can buy a top-end Nissan, you can buy a top-end Toyota, you can buy a top-end Suzuki. So many varieties. Now in South Africa, if you've got money, it's Mercedes, BMW, maybe Audi. That's it. So South Africa has got that market. It's ready for these the variation because so much money.
And I agree with what the answer said, variety. So I think it's a trend. We as consumers are now becoming instant gratification, market. As Lance was talking, I thought about a friend of mine who's actually selling vehicles in the UAE. And he says all the time, is like, what the market wants here is whatever is new and trendy. They don't care what it is. And these Chinese cars are doing very well there because they're the trendy one. They age it, they look new, and it's exciting. It's like a kid buying a new toy. They might get tired of it very quickly and get rid of it, but there's a new one coming out. And I think that's what's happening in South Africa. There's that thirst for something new.
Got you. 079 100 let us know what would make you consider buying a Chinese car brand in the wake of the fact that Chinese are actually the future of car manufacturing. Japan, America, aside, China has come and taken over the reins. Speaking of events, I know something is happening locally, but before we come back locally, let's go to Paris. Paris has a motor show on. What's this about, Tad?
This is a big one. So the world over, there are some very key motor shows that happen, and the Paris Motor Show is one of those highlights. I think the one that's bigger than that is the one that happens in Germany, the German Motor Show. That's a lot bigger. But before we get there, the Paris Motor Show is running right now. Started on the 14th of October. It's running all the way to the 20th of October. So this is where the bleeding edge of car technology is right now in terms of a big event. You have most of your big car manufacturers there. It's not just about car brands and manufacturers. It's about suppliers, people bringing technology, smaller companies, bigger companies that bring technology into vehicles. The talk right now about the show is the connected car. I think we've mentioned that before. It's talking about advancements in technology. The French, of course, being a French show, they have their bigger car manufacturers in Citroën and Renault, who also exhibiting quite big, showcasing the newer models. But it's a launching pad to talk about technology in vehicles, to talk about new and exciting vehicles, to talk about the trends in the motor industry and how and why these manufacturers are gathering together and how they implement it into an actual product. So a very big show. Anyone lucky enough to be in Paris at the moment, definitely worth taking a gander. If not just to see what's new, just the grand scale of how big the motor industry, when they come together, can be.
Yeah. Question to you, Tav. When you're looking at brands like Mercedes, how do you think? Because are they present or they're not present at this motor show? Sounds like they're absent.
Some surprises. Big names like Mercedes-Benz and Volvo, some two big names, are actually not present in this show. Well, for a number of reasons. They could have something up their sleeve for when the show comes to Germany, to Berlin, perhaps, or maybe they don't feel they have a product that's worthy of putting on the pedestal. Guess what's happening, or that they don't feel the lines with the signals that are being talked about. But they are present in a very small scale, but not in the major ways everyone expects it. I think everyone expects that if there's a World Cup, there's going to be a Brazil playing. And then when it's not there, it's like, it's a terrible one.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like they've snubbed the World Cup? I mean, if Brazil does not show up,
yes, it is. It still is. There still are some very, very big hitters, but maybe for reasons known to them. And I try to dig into the reasons why they're not there. And it's not just them. I mean, other car manufacturers, a few other big names are not there. Volvo, I think, like I mentioned before, is one of those others that are not there. They had their reasons. It'll be interesting maybe over the next few weeks if we can try to find out. Or generally when the motor show is done and the first releases come out, it'll come to light why they didn't go there.
Got you. Lance, for you as a car enthusiast, I'd imagine you've been following this motoring show. Are there any technologies or concepts that are possibly at this show that you think will have a key significance for us in the car industry?
Yeah, first and foremost, we've got the automotive technology that's giving us the cutting edge in terms of diagnosis when it comes to cars, right? Cars are now saying we'll do right.
Right.
And stuff. So it's a plus for the owner of the car as well. And the more technology, right, available, the cheaper the cars will start becoming. Because now imagine China bringing a model that's got better technology than Mercedes per se. What's going to happen? Are you going to buy the Mercedes for the same price? It's just like how it is the argument that we're having. The new Mark X that's there on the street.
Right.
Will you buy that or you buy the E-Class? And the Mark X is doing almost the same thing as the E-Class for a cheaper fraction and easier maintenance. So these are the kind of things that are beneficial to us if you look at it from a certain angle. Yeah.
It's very interesting. And also just speaking to the new ideas the car industry is putting up, especially in Paris, I'm checking with you as you're listening in as well on 0719100404. What do you think people like Tafatswa who are in the car industry of selling cars need to do to make it more attractive to you and I? I'm looking at EVs. I know we've spoken about this a million times, but I'm just wondering, do you think there's certain things you would like to see car dealerships doing to try and convince us to buy them? Tough strategies that you think as a car dealer you should be thinking about so that you push people towards the uncharted territory. Chinese brands, newer technology, EVs.
Yeah, I'll just take a tip from that. Provide value. Make the cars cheaper, but pack in value. Simple as that. If you look at the trends in Zimbabwe right now, the cars, new cars, those are the ones I can speak for. In fact, I can probably speak for both sides, new cars and used cars. The biggest car market in Zimbabwe is the second-hand market, the imported market. by virtue of it's cheaper. If you're looking at the brand new vehicles, the vehicles that are bought the most of in terms of volume are the cheaper vehicles, the smaller, cheaper vehicles. So people are looking for value. How can I pay as little as possible? I don't want something nonsense. I still get great value. So value and price right now are the two things that I think are very key in the car industry. And listen, I think it's about time. If we're very frank and honest, the cars have been around for a long time. This technology has developed efficiencies every day. The efficiencies of producing these vehicles, it's become better and better. Technology is being shared, new materials are being introduced. I think, speaking from an African context, vehicles can and should be cheaper to make it more attractive for people to adopt.
11:31 on Capital 100.4 FM Harare Zaabi. Coming up now, you get to guess which classic car we're talking about. Which car am I? Can you guess the icon? All right, so we do this every single week. You get to figure out which classic car we're talking about today. We give you a hint. Today's hint starts off as it is that one car, a classic car that was the go-to ride for many people back in the day, especially if you were a lover of hatchbacks. I mean, picture this. This is 1996. You're cruising in a 5-door hatchback. It's got the simple yet reliable charm that we all loved in our cars. And when you open the hood, what do you get? A 1.3 engine, 4-cylinder, 74 horsepower. Wait. If you were lucky to get your hands on the 1.6 twin cam version, you were living really large at that time. And it became a favorite of many young enthusiasts back in the day. Any idea what this car is? Which car am I? 0719-100-404. I'll give you more clues if I must, but let's see how well you know your cars. Malvin, good morning. The European Union has restricted the sale of Chinese brand cars, especially EVs, because they've become a big threat to their automotive markets. But this is selfish.
We talked about it sometime back.
Yes.
The Europeans are so like the motorbike wars that used to happen. I remember Suzuki, Honda, and Yamaha fighting Harley Davidson and Triumph in the European market. Then imagine the Europeans just said no bike is allowed to be sold in Europe if it goes above 200 kilometers per hour. It's not good to something defective, but it's a way of protecting their own, one. Like we're saying, it's a Chinese invasion.
Yeah. How do you feel about this stuff? This protection. It sounds lazy.
It is. I think it limits the rate at which progress should be done in the motor industry and how things should change, adapt to changes. But like Lon said, it's and we discussed a few weeks ago, it's about protecting that industry. Think of the car industry. Japan. If in fact I'll give you a simple example. South Korea, Hyundai and Kia, the two biggest exports from that market in terms of vehicles. And imagine if Hyundai just shut down today. That will cripple a lot of filtered down industries in that country, which affect a lot of things to do with the economy. So the car industries are very big drivers of other sub-industries within a country. So if you get a foreign threat, good for the guy bringing the car into your country. Better sales, more production, better filtered down advantages for their suppliers. Can I call it that? Bad for the country they're going into. So it's a way of protecting their own industry.
Yeah.
Not the place, but that's all.
So here's the thought process to you, Taff. We're talking about how car dealers can actually come up with strategies to try and encourage buyers to consider newer technology, newer cars. My car dealers guards installments or pay as you drive. Even those ex-dealers. I don't know what ex-dealers are.
Yeah. Good point. Access to finance and credit. That much makes it easy. Well, the reason why any other person in South Africa is a car, because the finance process in South Africa,
it's higher purchase.
It's very simple. It's very simple to access. Interest rates are good. One can change their minds halfway through. It's not too rigid. Unfortunately, here in Zim, it's a little bit different. In fact, it's a lot different. It's much more rigid. It's much more difficult to get at. So my response to that is, it's not the dealers who are at fault, but we need to appeal to the financial institutions who provide this credit, who then pay us in turn to have better and more.
Are you having these conversations at all now that we're there?
like it or not, the car industry is like a tuck shop. You are happy when the tuck shop has more stock and there's orders with things that haven't come in. You want more sales.
Right.
But so anything that helps these sales to happen,
Right.
we have these conversations.
Got you. Because it's a rainy season that's coming in, I know we were talking about this earlier in the morning about La Nina, El Nino. Fact of the matter is, when wet weather is around, there are some things that you need to be thinking about to make sure that your car is wet season ready. Some important preparations that you must have. And we want to go through some sort of checklist for you to think about as far as being ready for wet weather. So let's talk about this idea of a checklist, lads, in the wet weather. Why a checklist in the wet weather? What's so special or unique to the wet weather that we need to be talking about?
So checklists just to iron out things that we're going to discuss now. Right? So first and foremost, number one, most of our people will be saying, but usually what I've noticed with experience, by the time it starts raining, what will my tire be? So now, since we're now entering the rainy season, I would suggest that you check your tires, or if they're worn out, you replace them, or if they've got that funny way, you just need to rotate them, like, normal maintenance, like the rear ones go to the front, or the front ones go to the rear, something like that, right?
Sorry, I was about to choke there.
Right. Yeah, because you get my tire and do especially when it rains.
Yeah.
And there's debris on the road, and my tire and stuff. Usually cars slide, and ABS systems will work. But guys, you notice that they're always fed up being thingy.
Couldn't my tire
Tires. They
there
are there, but then you go to the tires. When you buy tires for this region, it's the best because you can't be using snow tires.
Right.
Yes. Secondly, basic suspension check. You check your shocks, tire ends, steering knuckles, even the steering box or steering rate itself. Because cars tend to wobble or lose control over wet surfaces more than when it's dry. So you need to get that checked as well. Number two. Number three, just get your brake system checked. Front and rear brake pads, your brake discs, your drums, your your brake lines, and pedals and stuff. These things are very important because you never know. Towards the beginner. Then number four.
Whilst we are talking about brake pads, I read somewhere that if you in wet weather, you may find yourself braking suddenly, right? Wet weather does the most to us. I don't know.
It's weird,
You know what I mean?
It's weird how it works.
And they said something along the lines that sudden braking has a way of wearing.
Out faster.
Yes. Or may cause heating, perhaps.
Yeah,
in brake pads.
heating.
Please
Because
explain that to us.
your brakes is basically, so if we talk about brakes, it's a friction device. The friction is used to stop the car.
Right.
So friction heat is generated. And with heat being generated, there's way that comes out from both surfaces. The brake disc, which is the metal part, and the ceramic or asbestos brake pad. So driving practices is also very important because if you drive like a lunatic,
Right.
but if you drive which is at usually exercise caution, your brakes will last longer. But now since the rainy season as well, it's advisable to just get them serviced. Some cars are not really expensive. Like if you got a Japanese car, brake pads are averaging $8 to maybe $15. They say it is $200, something like that. So just
I'm
get
glad you stopped at the same. I was side eyeing you.
That depends. It's a BM, it's Audi, So yeah, your brake system will definitely have So even like the rear brakes or the older cars or the less powerful cars, because what they call brake drums in the rear. So all the way through the year, you're accumulating dust in these brake drums and stuff. So you need to get those clean so that you don't have friction being altered because of foreign debris inside the brakes.
Got you.
Yeah.
0719-100-404. If you have any questions, particularly about driving habits and practices to think about or suggest during wet weather, please do send us a message on 0719-100-404. We're still trying to see if we can figure out what our classic car of the week is. I did tell you that it certainly was a big deal in 1996. It was your ultimate hatchback. It came in typically as a 1.3-liter engine. It also came in as a 4-cylinder, and it also was moving around with a whopping 74 horsepower at that time. It's a front-wheel drive. I'm giving you another clue, with a 4-speed manual gearbox. smooth, controlled drive. Mchazule. And for most people, this was like a trusted sidekick on our Zimbabwean streets. Any idea what this hatchback was? Maybe let me give you another clue to make your life easier. Japan or Japanese. Let's see if that will make your life easier.
It's a golf right
It does sound golfy.
Exactly.
So stick around, we'll let you know what that is. Lance was also highlighting to us some of the key things you need to be thinking about as far as wet weather is concerned. He spoke about tires, your wear and check. You spoke about your suspension. He was talking about your braking system there. What else, Lance, should we be thinking about?
So the next important when it comes to wet weather is your wiper system and your demister. Right, tineka tendency kuti amaweba manyowani takatenga, but with the heat, especially October, what October does, it disintegrates your wipers and arms and stuff. So just get those checks. Because by the time wabatwa nemvura, like what happened a few days ago, a lot of people were Asushanda, you know, because the whole year you're not using them.
Yes.
Then towards the one, you switch them on, maybe they don't come on, they do come on, the blades are finished or something. Then when they do come on, there's that cloudy mist in the car. And you can't use the car device to demist.
So thank you for saying that, because I'd always wondered why. Because wipers are probably the least used part of your car in this part of the world. But somehow the radio stations are not taking my wiper.
Exactly. And the prices tend to go up as well.
Right, and you're saying it's also because of the heat, because and that makes sense.
Exactly.
Got you.
Yeah.
Right.
So the rubber will get worn out. So definitely just replace your wiper.
Got you.
And just get them serviced.
Let's talk about that mist that comes in when it's raining. What's the best way to clear that mist?
With me, if you just switch on your aircon to cold, and you just direct it to
No, Wafuti, which
safety, we talk about safety or being comfortable.
So okay, 0719 100 how do you demist your car? Unoziva kana uchinaya ukaona mawindo akutanga unoita sei?
But the thing is, funny thing is, if you put on the heater, actually it gets worse. I think I've noticed.
Yes.
You start seeing people with mutton clothes. I should say,
but right.
It's a better.
Right.
So what happens? What I suggest, or what I encourage people to do from personal experience, if your car does not have an aircon system, just make sure that your vents are all clear. It's a problem. You would see promoter name dashboard to look at some newspaper, when you put files there, when you put so keep those airways clean and clear, and make sure that I'm not going to that will help with the demystifying.
So you're speaking of aircon, right? And aircon has like many blowing angles, right?
Yeah.
Which one are we looking at?
We're going to look at that diagram that's got the windscreen shape,
right,
and 3 arrows that go up. Because with that square one, if it's a rectangle one, it means it's the real demister.
Right.
Got the oval like shape.
Got you.
Exactly.
As my side,
my side is my one, but
my
so but if you just direct your ventilation
right
on
each
end of the dashboard, each guy's got this.
Got you.
Yeah.
0719, do you have ways that you are demisting your car when you are getting misted in there? How do you navigate this? 0719 100 404. Another thing that I find very interesting in wet weather is lights. Right? Which lights are we supposed to have on?
So, I believe people actually want to buy those yellow lights or blue lights, headlights. If you notice, there's funny colors going around. Honestly, yellow lights are for fog and misty weather, right? And the night breaker, the blue lights work well when it's cloudy and dark. But when it's raining, those blue lights don't really work. They don't really, because
I'm rooting my blue lights in there.
My lights are about to take a blue, so I think you've seen them on the road. But most cars have got these lights.
Okay.
People are buying these HID kits, which are like almost blue. So these lights are, to be honest, they're not night breakers. They're for sure. They're for sure.
Yeah.
They're for sure. So we're having problems. I've had situations whereby my customers are requesting, but I don't know my lights are about blue. At your own risk, because in urban, they're good.
Do we have regulations for that? Because I know, in Australia, for example, the popo stops you when you go past things like your lights and what.
Yes, we do.
Those blinking lights.
Exactly.
They'll tell you It has that black film over the light. I don't know what the previous owner was trying to be, very gangster.
Dark mode.
Batmobile.
The Batmobile, yeah. So actually, funny thing, you need to revisit your aircon and look at the statutory instruments when it comes to lighting of the vehicle.
Yeah.
It's very important. It's something that we just, I'll tell you what, there's this incident that happened. I'd taken my other bus to VID for fitness. So apparently this guy, one of the latest BMWs he bought from Europe, and it came in, but it came in as a non-runner. Then he managed to get the car to run. So the car was right. So argument I hate the VID officers, what time you why? And you can't tell me the lights are on. And no, what my lights are squeed. They're not adequate for us. And no, you can't tell me that BMW is mad and they made the car. Never lights are ISO. So what the guys when we are trying to highlight is your dazzle, your car has got too much dazzle, and your car needs to be adjusted into the regulated lighting zone.
Right, because he imported a car that had specifications for that area.
Exactly.
Right.
So
And it's fascinating. It would be interesting to know what are they supposed to be like, because I don't think most of us actually adjust our lights.
Exactly, because you need to take your car
Focus.
for focus. So focusing doesn't mean improving. Actually, sometimes it is actually detuning your lights so that you protect the other
driver. Yeah. And so fog lights, are they standard in every car? Do we just know where the fog lights are with the newer concepts that are coming in?
It's actually funny. Fog lights actually per region. Some manufacturers don't put them on standard. They're in Zimbabwe, to be honest, they're just it's a styling accessory.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily need them because we don't have regions or areas, except if you live in Ngwenya, that's where you stay and live, where there'll be any particular use. People don't know this, but the red light at the back underneath your stop lights is actually a fog light for the rear as well.
Right.
Because it cuts through the fog, people can actually see there's a car and helps in the reversing as well.
Right.
And the ones in front, of course, they help to illuminate the lower part of the vehicle so you can see what's happening at the lower end of the vehicle. That particular requirement here, styling, is actually an optional extra.
Yeah, so fools, Ngwenya Westgate, you say the classic of the week is a Mazda 232 hatchback. You said there was also a Ford hatchback of similar specifications. You didn't tell us what that Ford hatchback was, but it's certainly not a Mazda. It certainly is not a Ford. So I've told you it's Japanese, so narrow down your thought process there. Good morning, question, Mabuku. I missed you too. I think the car you're talking about is a Nissan Sunny B14. Or listen to this, Toyota Corolla E100. We'll find out if you're on the money there. Peshi, it's Capital 100.4 FM. Let's find out from you if you have any clue which car we are profiling today as our classic car, as we're also talking about some important things to think about wet weather. My bulb, I would say, these things can't be, are they expensive? Are these replacement bulbs expensive? What's going on there?
Zimbabweans or general people. Some of these things, if you notice, are actually cheaper than quota I'm not enough for. But it's a safety device. A light is a safety device.
Yeah.
So you just have to tell yourself, can I install my lights? Let me just park the car. Not just to endanger your life, but the other people that on the road, viewers. So I don't know. it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
0719,
I'm also throwing this at you. You will resort more time when you must say that. Cheaper than a quote,
quote 5.
Quote 5.
Yeah, because but there are lights which go for $5 for a pair. There are some that go for $15, some go for 80, some go. But the basic ones which you're paying so for $5, $4, actually, I feel like they're subsidized because they're a safety device and you just have to have this as basic.
Right.
So if you go to places like Transerve, My Party, whatever they have, anything that goes in your pocket.
Yeah. 07191, what is making you move around with a car that does not have license?
My question is people who have cars that have lights is it's cheaper to replace your light bulb than to fix your car. It's much cheaper. Or your car and someone's car.
Might I extend?
Much cheaper. It's a very inexpensive part and a very crucial one. The function of lights is to illuminate your way and also to give visibility to your vehicle. If that's missing, there's a problem.
Alright, so we're going to be telling you what the classic car of the week is in a minute. Highway code question, Tap. What's our highway code question?
Yes, so this one is a very simple one, but it's broken down in sections, and we want at least four of the obligations in terms of the question. And the question goes like this. You are approaching a zebra crossing in a busy town center in Zimbabwe. A pedestrian is waiting to cross. What are your obligations as a driver? I'll repeat the question. You are approaching a zebra crossing in a busy town center in Zimbabwe. A pedestrian is waiting to cross. What are your obligations as a driver? So there's at least several obligations as a driver when you approach a pedestrian crossing. We all know one is you must stop. We all know that. But what are some of the other obligations?
All right, let's see those who pass their highway code. 0719 100 404. Our car review. Which car is best? We are pitting a Kia Sportage 2014 model versus a Nissan Qashqai 2014. All right, so what we're about to do here, we're going to see which car is better, looking at certain specs that we'll be looking at. Firstly, utility. What is the use of Sportage Kia?
Yeah, it's a sports utility vehicle, an SUV. So it's a car that can be used as a family car, it's used as an individual vehicle, provides a little bit of ground clearance so one can enjoy going to the great outdoors and enjoying with the family or by themselves. And it also provides a little bit of sporty or spirit driving just to make it a fun car to drive every day.
Listen, Qashqai. This car, it's a perfect SUV, stylish, looks well. It's got an exquisite name.
It does though. It does though. And when we're talking about the cargo capacity of the Qashqai, how many liters does it hold?
It's got 504 liters.
Wow.
No surprises there, the Kia is a big car. It comes in at 564 liters.
That's pretty big. That's pretty big. And when we are looking at trim levels, how many trim levels do we find with the Kia Sportage?
Well, the Kia Sportage actually has several. It goes up to about 10 different specs, but we will talk about the original and what's most popular. So you find that it's usually got three spec levels, which cover quite a wide range. Entry level, middle tier, and then GLS, which is usually your highest tier. So
Three. And for the Qashqai?
Same, basically the same. But I think where Nissan had the ammunition is the variations of the engine. And it's got some 3 or 4 trims available. This is the European spec, Japanese spec, and I think African spec as well.
All right, got you. Talk to us about transmission. What do we find with the Kia Sportage, Tab?
the Kia Sportage comes with a 6-speed automatic gearbox, which is very smooth and at the time was very advanced. So Google tells me.
And yeah, Nissan has a 6-speed manual, and it's got a 7-speed CVT K-track gearbox.
Sounds to me like it's the Qashqai that's taking that one.
Yeah, on the gearbox side, yeah.
On the manual, but I'll argue on the automatic CVT equals noise and slow. Versus this one is a bit more precise. It's not a CVT.
When we look at the drivetrain, what are we seeing with the Kia?
The drivetrain is all-wheel drive across all configurations. It is an option for petrol, diesel, but all-wheel drive was what was sold in our region.
Got you.
The Nissan drive setup. It's also got 2 drive setup.
Okay. Top speed. What do you have, Qashqai?
It's got the top speed of 170 kilometers per hour, electronically governed.
170. That's
It's electronically governed. Right? This is electronically governed.
all right. So it could be faster,
It could be
but
faster. They said, but there's no need.
about 170. Not even 200 to 170.
No, she got 200.
You know what?
In a debate, that's called a disclaimer. But to add on to your disclaimer, my Kia Sportage has a max speed of 196 kilometers per hour. So it is a faster model, ungoverned.
It sounds faster. All right. Now let's look at the engine review. Talk to us about the sizes. What are we getting for the Kia, firstly?
The Kia comes with 2 engine variants, which are very popular, and the ones you got more of at the time, which is a 2-liter turbocharged petrol, which is the more powerful option, and then the straight 2.4-liter petrol option. Later on, and I think not at the time, which is 2014, there was an option internationally, but we only started to get them as grey imports much later in Zimbabwe. There was a 2.2 diesel engine, liter diesel engine available, but we won't talk about that because at the time it was not available.
Got you.
And Nissan Qashqai has got it's got a wide range of engine. It's got a 1.2-liter petrol turbo motor, right? All the way to the 2-liter turbo motor as well. Pangajaba, there's 6 variants on the petrol side. Then
Yeah.
let's talk about diesel. Diesel's got 3, 1.5-liter diesel, 1.6-liter diesel, 1.7-liter diesel. All these are turbocharged.
Looks like Qashqai takes that particular one. What options? You certainly do. And when we're talking about fuel tank capacity, what are we getting out of the Qashqai?
Qashqai
Very impressed for a small car. Mine only comes with 58 liters.
Kia. So Qashqai is taking that one.
Yeah.
And in terms of ride and drive, how would you describe the ride and drive of this Sportage?
Unit over the Qashqai. It is a bigger vehicle, longer wheelbase, wider vehicle as well, definitely smoother. Being a car from the South Korean market, they push value, lots of very nice interior comforts to make it very plush and comfortable to drive.
Is this the Kia or the Qashqai?
Oh, sorry, this is the Kia.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because I really admire and really approve the Koreans when it comes to the cars, quality drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this one is going to Kia.
Definitely Kia. Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
And when we look at the interior, how would you describe the interior of your Qashqai?
It's very Japanese. That's the honest truth.
Basic.
And you can't say basic. They've got the add-ons, which look nice. But and for the UK market, like I said, the Qashqai for the UK market is okay. But the Koreans, they're taking their time.
Lots of disclaimers again. I was just smiling as you were talking. Listen, it's a Japanese car, which is already a drawback when it comes to interior. Where still it's a Nissan, which is the second one as well. They're not known for their creativity inside the car.
Play nice, Kia. Play nice. 0 to 100. How much do you? How long does it take you to hit 100, Kia?
The Kia will reach 110.1 seconds.
Wow. And Qashqai.
7.9 seconds.
So Qashqai is faster there. Okay. And in terms of our powertrain, what are we getting out of the Qashqai?
The
Qashqai, we got the smaller engine, which is about 138. This is a 1.2 turbo, all the way to 158 horsepower for the petrol engine. But the diesels have got torque to really brag about. We're talking about 330 meters of torque, which is really good.
Okay.
It's good. I think the diesel of theirs is quite powerful. The petrol is not even a chance. The Kia's engines are much more powerful. The high end is 260 horsepower. The low end 182 horsepower.
You know,
So it cleans those engines.
Yeah, no shame. So this one has got to go to Kia. I think. I'm sorry. Okay. We're almost out of time. So when we're looking in terms of looks, who takes the looks for this one? Which one is more appealing? Really?
No, not the Qashqai, no.
Qashqai looks nice with those gold colors and grey colors. I've seen them; they look quite nice.
So are you saying Kia or Qashqai?
I would take the Kia.
You take the Kia.
If the man who's defending the Qashqai takes the Kia, I won't say anything else.
Hi. And after sales quality, what do we get for our Kia?
Yeah, very good. Good spares, backup, very well supported in South Africa and locally. I think it's just as good as the Nissan.
Where I beg to differ here, the Nissan's got better support.
Okay. All right. So this one is going to be something like I think so too. And cost to run, is it expensive or easy to run?
Very South Korean, very cheap to run.
Very cheap to run.
Yeah, I've
Cheaper
seen-
than Nissan.
I've seen these Qashqais about 3 days. I don't know cheap meeting.
Yeah.
It should be maintenance or I don't know.
So shall we give us the Kia for now?
It's Kia.
So it looks like just from this verdict, Kia Sportage is a much better buy than the Nissan Qashqai 2014 model. What did we say our high record answer? What are the 4 stages you were describing?
The first stages was the one I gave away right when I asked the question. Is slow down and prepare to stop. Second one is give way to the pedestrians always. And be patient and observant. And do not overtake at a zebra crossing.
That's second angry because we all do this. Mrs. Manyanga, how are you? You reduce speed, put hazards to all the car behind you, then you stop for the pedestrian to cross. No, we do this, but that's not what we're supposed to be doing. Mrs. Manyanga, I love your attempt though. And last but least, our classic car of the week, lads.
It's a Toyota Compass.
Yeah. We've got an event. Can you tell us in 10 seconds? I'd almost forgotten again.
On Saturday, we're in Kwekwe. We're having burnouts in Kwekwe by Smallville Auto Sports Club. It's $5 to come in. Please come support us. We're going to be having fun.
How do you get a hold of you if you're interested?
It's 0775 981 647. That's my number.
And that is all we have for you under the hood. We've got activity that's happening. Get a hold of Lance if you're interested in being a part of that. Until next week, the Newbie Queen is out. The Pulse is coming up next with Becky K on Capital 100.4 FM. Harare Sabit News is coming up next.